40 million kina urgently needed for TB emergency response plan. Mining conference hears of PNG's next generation of LNG projects. And the PMIZ projected to fuel more growth. This is National MTV News with Meriba Tolo.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Wednesday's news. 40 million kina is urgently needed to implement Papua New Guinea's TB emergency response plan. National Health Department's Deputy Secretary, Dr. Paisan Dakulala, says the program cannot be fully implemented because of the government's delay in releasing these funds. Fabian Hakalitz has more.
It's important that we get this strategy early.
In an exclusive interview with MTV this afternoon, Dr. Dakulala admitted little has been done to implement the TB emergency response plan because of funding constraints. But the National Health Department is doing its best to help contain the epidemic.
The key message is emergency and urgent. Let's take it on board seriously and get to do something about this.
Of the 40 million kina, 17.7 million kina alone is for the multi and extensively drug-resistant TB program in Daru Western Province. The remaining is for 2 hotspots, NCD in Gulf and other centers.
And the 17.7 million from the Western Province community funding that's come through OCTEDI. And unfortunately for the 17.7 million, it's a court issue, and so it's not allowed us to have access to that, and that's been part of our challenge. Whereas the 23 million, it's one that we've been asking through our team to see how we could secure that, and so in the supplementary budget we've asked for that. But also we've tried to see if this could be also taken on board in the budget for 2016.
Without these funds, Dr. Dakulala says it's very difficult to implement the emergency response plan. The National Health Department is aware of PNG's state of economy. However, when dealing with life, it's an emergency that requires immediate attention.
Yes, we need it because obviously there's a lot of activities, urgent activities that needed to happen that are not happening yet. And so our hope is that this funding comes in and then we move on.
These problems come in a time when the TB program also expired in August this year, and Dr. Dakulala has made a submission for an extension to allow more effort to address this epidemic.
And I think it's important that we get this strategy early so that we control the TB problem while it's manageable, then to allow the MDR-TB to go out of hand into the situation where it becomes multi-drug resistant or XDR-TB, and we have to afford 60,000 kina for one patient.
Fabian Hakalitz, National MTV News.
The Gulf and Western provinces are potential liquefied natural gas hubs with their vast gas reserves. Minister for Petroleum and Energy, Nixon Duban, made the remarks on Day 2 of the PNG Mining and Petroleum Conference. His presentation was centered on the next generation of LNG projects in Papua New Guinea.
Minister Duban said the country's LNG landscape is now moving towards the new developments in the Gulf province that's also called the Papua LNG.
Papua LNG is basically within Gulf province, which is also a very lucrative region in terms of reserves.
Today's morning session had presentations on new proposed petroleum developments like Horizon Oil. Chief Company Representative of Horizon Oil, Kelvin Bramley, said Western Province remains relatively unexplored and remains an area of great potential.
In our view, further exploration in the region is likely to result in additional discoveries. Add to that, there are encouraging signs for the development of Penyang, and there is an increasing level of interest in the area from the big end of town, with the likes of ExxonMobil, Oil Search and Santos becoming increasingly active within the province.
Another new proposed development project is the Twinza Oil, located 95 kilometers offshore in the Gulf province.
Twinza Oil is doing a project, an offshore project. When I became minister, I was looking for an offshore project, and I put strongly Twinza Oil.
Managing Director of Twinza Oil, Hugh Evans, said they are looking at drilling wells and in time putting up a production platform. Production is expected to commence soon.
We're also looking at ways in which we can accelerate production, and the Minister kindly pointed out that 2018 was when we're looking to do production.
Mr. Duban acknowledged the participation of all operators in developing the industry. As Minister responsible, he said the government looked forward to continue to collaborate for the good of the country. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
On a related note, Minister Duban also emphasized that Papua New Guinea must have downstream processing. With the continued interest shown in investing in the resource sector in PNG, Mr. Duban said it is important the industry give back to the people of this country. This week, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill announced that the government would offer incentives for gas projects that focus on downstream processing.
Mr. Duban was very frank about what he, as the minister responsible, and the government would like to see achieved for the people through all the resource projects in the country.
As minister, I respect the industry, but I must also speak for Papua New Guinea. We must have downstream processing. We want to see power generation. We want to see petrochemical being done in this country. And it is important for this country's government leaders to make good decisions for this country.
Mr. Duban added that the industry must give some leverage to discuss the utilization of domestic gas. He said it is going to be vital in the next few weeks with the development forum of the Pyongyang gas.
Pyongyang is an important asset, and we feel that ExxonMobil has done the right thing, and we want to see Pyongyang develop fast. And we appeal for, we've got the PNG LNG project that we've seen with the 2 train. We are asking and strongly recommending a 3rd train to come on board.
Mr. Duban said the landscape of oil and gas in PNG is one that's changing, and there are many new interests in exploration from Europe and Asia.
There's a huge interest also from Europe. After we went to market Papua New Guinea in Europe, there's now new interest coming in from Europe. There's more interest from Asian region. We are happy to host a lot more than what we have on record. We've got an offshore project. We want to see more offshore projects. Also, while it's expensive, this country has got more to offer. Our resource basket is huge.
Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Don Pollier has criticized discussions in the Mining and Petroleum Conference underway in Port Moresby. He says issues such as the establishment of the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative and the Sovereign Wealth Fund must be the focus.
That's what the Petroleum and the Mining Conference must discuss. Bring that into fruition. Should work to mold and shape it, to put in the structures. That's the kind of productive discussions and debate we would like to see such conferences bring about, not to praise and crawl to a government.
The Papua New Guinea Coalition for Change celebrated International White Ribbon Day today, supporting the elimination of violence against women in Papua New Guinea. The White Ribbon Campaign, or International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, aims to raise awareness among men and boys about the roles they can play to stop violence against women. The campaign falls annually on November the 25th. Tensions remain high this morning after 2 men were killed, 7 have been reportedly hospitalized, and houses torched in fresh clashes at Lae's Boundary Road this week. Fights have been ongoing since October, between several factions within the area. Martha Lewis with this report.
This morning, a group of women, children and men were seen fleeing with their valuables at Boundary Road. They were running away from fights happening close to their homes in fear of their lives. At this stage, it is not clear who was chasing them. Last month, the leaders of both sides had agreed to stop fighting and allow normalcy back in all communities. 2 communities were involved in the fights last month. A preventive order was issued to both parties to stop fighting. The order stops anyone from creating another clash and will forcefully evict troublemakers. However, on Tuesday, the fighting started again. 2 men were killed and many others injured. Homes were torched. With tensions high at the settlement, police personnel are on site since yesterday morning to monitor and control the situation. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Ley.
Here with National EMTV News. Pacific Marine Industrial Zone project launched with promises of fueling more growth. That story and more after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The launching of the Pacific Marine Industrial Zone project came with promises of job opportunities and other infrastructural development for the people of Madang province and the country as a whole. The public turned up in numbers at Vidar, the project site where the launching took place.
The Pacific Marine Industrial Zone project was approved by the government in 2006, which saw the government signing the loan agreement of $95 million that's equivalent to a little over 200 million kina with China's Exim Bank in the year 2010. The Prime Minister, Peter O'Neill, at the launching mentioned that the government may need to borrow more money to repay the Exim Bank's loan because the cost of the project has risen by 50% during the 11 years of delay.
Today, this cost of project here today, cost planning ko 50%. Na you bating also mem worry block government. So lemo right? Worry block government, but government go some more dinner. Limiting this block cost. Time me mean also by me begging dinner yet benefits begam government, na country, na you, na me, and by taking longer time more likely.
China's ambassador to PNG, Liu Riong, after congratulating Madang province and the country, says the PNG government made the right decision by creating policies to cater for the project.
The PNG government has made a very wise policy, or adopted a very wise policy, to making added value to the fisheries industry. And therefore, this PMIZ project is coming.
The Trade and Commerce Industry Minister Richard Maru announced the promises of having the project in the province.
PMIZ don't buy me 30,000 jobs here in Vidar. Harem good. This project talk back at Nubla Power Station of Madang. Our power station that will make sure there is reliable water to this project area. By that power, you belong at the place around here. By that water supply here.
The minister went on to make an appeal to the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, my appeal to you today, on behalf of our country and our people. After this launch of this project, I want to advertise to the world attractive investors come and locate here. And as a government, you must stop him. You must 100% process him over the tuna fisheries project, a process or product.
The Madang Governor Jim Cass thanked the Prime Minister and assured the delegation that the province welcomes the project and let out certain demands that the project must see happen in the province.
Infrastructure, we would simply ask for a four-lane highway to be built from the town to PMIZ, to easing the traffic and to assisting.
Governor Cass went on to inform the delegation that the provincial government will take environmental issues concerns seriously.
Environmental and safety issues. Environmental health and safety is of paramount importance, and as a responsible provincial government, it will take a very cautious approach to environmental issues arising from the PMIZ operations here.
Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
The national government expects to see a 50% increase in Papua New Guinea's tuna exports after the Pacific Marine Industrial Zone is completed. PNG Fisheries future projections estimate that PNG's 200 million kina tuna export value will double to 400 million kina once the proposed 9 canneries are in operation. The controversial project was launched after a 10-year delay. Bethany Harriman reports.
The Papua New Guinea fisheries industry is expected to experience more growth. Yesterday, the controversial Pacific Marine Industrial Zone was launched. 9 canneries in operation, generating 400 million kina in tuna export value, a 50% increase from the 200 million kina previously enjoyed by the Papua New Guinean economy. The government will pass new policies to safeguard this investment next year. Fisheries Minister Mao Zeming stated them in the opening speech.
This government will introduce a policy that fishing companies that fish in our internal archipelagic waters shall process 100% of their catches in PNG. We will also reintroduce or reinforce a policy of no mothership transshipment in our exclusive economic zone. No direct landing overseas by PNG-based boats. No fishing in the eastern high seas, and also no bunkering in high seas, but only at designated ports in PNG. These measures will help see fuller economic benefits.
The PMIZ project will be built from a 200 million kina concessional loan from China's Exim Bank. The project was delayed for nearly 10 years due to ongoing court battles over environmental issues and land ownership. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was at the launching and said that people in the area must be open to development.
People of Madang, you must be part of that growth. The only reason why we are not seeing changes is because we are not allowing investors to come in and work with us.
After almost 11 years of court battles between local landowners and the national government, the marine park will be constructed from the Chinese Exim Bank loan. The national government is promoting policies that will ensure that Papua New Guinea's economy benefits from tuna processed on shore. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Madang.
The University of Goroka Interim Council has backed their stance to terminate the previous university administration. Interim Council Chairman Dr. Joseph Sukuanob says the officers have violated the Public Finance Management Act.
The University of Goroka Interim Council has backed the stand to terminate the previous university administration of Dr. Gairo Unagi, Professor Michael Mell and Associate Professor Dr. James Yoko. All 3 officers were terminated on grounds of mismanagement.
We found them to be in violation of the laws that deal with Public Finance Management Act, the University Act, the statutes of the University of Goroka, and of course their own contracts.
The interim chairman says the decision is straightforward and the interim council is taking this matter seriously. Investigations into the alleged mismanagement is currently ongoing and being withheld by the interim council. They say it will be compiled and handed to the police in due course.
Collect all the evidence and submit to the police for their own criminal investigations.
Students have meanwhile set for the examinations and the second semester will be completed.
Students who completed the programs to graduate and for those others to continue, and we also received the list of those students who will be admitted from for 2016 academic year.
Details of the investigation into the previous university management were not revealed. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Funds have been made available to 3 institutions to improve and rehabilitate their facilities. The recipients are the University of Papua New Guinea, Pacific Adventist University and Jubilee Higher Learning Institute. The funding is from the Higher Education Infrastructure and Rehabilitation Program.
Heads of the 3 institutions were present to receive their check from the Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Malakai Tabar. UPNG received 4 million kina for the completion of the School of Law building. PAU 4.2 million kina for the construction of student dormitories, and Jubilee Institute of Higher Education received 2.5 million kina for student dormitories, staff housing and lecture halls. Minister Malakai Tabar says it is all aimed at improving facilities to create space for more enrollment into higher education.
Encourage institutions to expand and increase their intakes. Unfortunately or fortunately, the number of students leaving grade 12 every year seems to be growing.
Tabar says of the 23,000 grade 12 students that set for their exams this year, less than 6,000 will be accepted to higher institutions due to limited spacing. This year, the government has allocated a total of 62 million kina for rehabilitation and recapitalization program for universities. The investment into the higher education sector is crucial to ensure more students have access to higher learning institutions in the country. UPNG Vice Chancellor Professor Albert Mellam supports the government's vision.
The higher education sector is the growth engine for the Asia Pacific region.
Tabar urged the recipients to ensure prudent management of funds and to avoid project variations. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Don Polye is challenging professionals and Papua New Guineans to look closely at the recent 2016 budget handed down by the government. Polye says the numbers game does not match real figures forecast by the government. He described cuts to law and order as disturbing.
Opposition leader Don Polye is still disappointed with the projections of the 2016 national budget handed down by the O'Neill Dion government. Polye criticized the budget, saying figures do not correlate, and called on elites and professionals to review the budget books.
I would like to tell Papua New Guineans the figures will be way off. That means the GDP growth that they projected, the size of GDP that they projected in the 2016 budget is 56 billion. That will not be, it's not reflective of what is in the appropriation bill.
He says major cutbacks on essential services like law and order and justice sector like Ombudsman Commission and Task Force Sweep may affect the course of justice in the nation.
Cutting 100 million kina down in the law and justice sector, this is outrageous. This is just outrageous because then the reading on the wall by the people of this nation is very clear.
The opposition leader maintains the budget is not people-focused and much of the attention has been given to the mining sector.
Because the budget lacks vision to developing the people, addressing the people's interest.
He called on the government to paint a true picture of the economy or see a decline in the budget in the long run.
Therefore, the government needs to then devise or craft strategies that are realistic to solving the problem. Hiding the truth from the people and from the investors does not solve or fix any problem at all.
Jack Lepave Jr., National EMTV News.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3375 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3300 0.4510 Australian dollars, 0.3065 euro and 40.11 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee, cocoa and copra closed higher, while gold closed the day lower. Palm oil closed lower, while crude oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 20 points lower, the ASX closed at 16 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 15 points higher. You're watching National EMTV News. Rat attack in Western Province. That and more after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Disaster authorities in Western Province have reported an invasive species of rats that is attacking garden food crops. The rats are eating bananas, taro and other garden produce. Northfly Electric Disaster Coordinator Greg Isau says this has put people in a double disaster situation as El Nino continues to take a toll in the province.
The rats are believed to have entered Western Province from Indonesia through the border.
That's the West Ningrum, the border villages. They may hardly double hit because of there's a rat attack or rodent, which eventually came from the other side from Indonesia, which is destroying all the garden crops. Rats, we have it in our report.
Reports of the rat attack have been compiled in the disaster assessment report that was presented to the National Disaster Office. The people of West Ningrum have been badly affected by the invasion of the rats and prolonged El Nino condition.
My administration of Northfly
like the coordinators on the ground who have been attending to disaster and other affairs, like public institutions have been badly affected. Like
Western Province Interagency Disaster Committee Chairman Richard Aria says the province is in disaster category 4 and 5. Middle Fly electorate has been badly affected according to the reports.
We are actually in category 4 and 5. Right now, a lot of people are accessing Sego with dirty water. And that's a very big issue now.
Quinten Alom, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea's autonomous region, Bougainville, has charted the way forward in implementing the temporary special measures to strengthen women's participation in parliaments. It was revealed in the Pacific Regional Conference, Bougainville women have become the stronghold who negotiated for peace from the civil war that erupted on the island. Fabian Hakalitz has more.
To rights and enable effective capacity building for women.
Bougainville has created history as the only autonomous region in the Pacific that has implemented the Women, Peace and Security Strategic and Action Plan, and first in the world with a Strategic Action Plan for Women in Leadership 2015 to 2020. The conflict on the island has realized the importance of women's role in peace building, and the allocation of 3 women reserve seats in the Bougainville House of Representatives is an indicator of increasing leadership.
As we gain experience, it is immature to remain on reserve seats, but to step out into the open constituency seats and even the president seats to contest with men.
Through the civil war, women have found some determination, and the ABG will continue to support the temporary special measures implementation.
The Parliament can provide an avenue where women can come and express outrage in terms of the things that they want to happen.
To bring change in the Parliament, I feel that we have to talk about them. And when we talk about a facial woman.
I really believe in working together, working in partnership with men, and that's where I got the support to enter into politics.
The autonomous region of Bougainville, apart from Samoa, have proven to other Pacific Island countries it works, so it can in their own land. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
As the number of expecting women have increased over the years, there is also a great shortage of midwives. This in turn questions whether all women will receive proper natal care while in hospital. The interest level of pursuing midwife careers has dropped over the years. Currently, OSED is providing funding to nurses to pursue midwife courses. These were the observations made by Paradise Private Hospital's director, Dr. Robin Sios.
Midwives in the 30s and 40s or so, if we don't get the next group of midwives coming in at the age of 20 or 30, we will certainly have a gap. There won't be any midwives around to work in a hospital and to help with deliveries of younger mothers and the increase in those childbearing sort of mothers.
Turning overseas now, and police brutality is still very much alive, with prosecutors handing down a $4.9 million settlement this week to the father of a homeless man who was beaten to death in 2011 by 2 police officers in the United States. The settlement, worth over 14 million kina, was reached with the help of video surveillance of the incident.
Former Fullerton police officers Jay Cicinelli and Manuel Ramos were cleared of their criminal charges over the brutal murder of 37-year-old Kelly Thomas in January last year. 6 officers have been involved in his harrowing arrest. The FBI has since reopened the case for examination. In defense, the policemen argued that Kelly's medical treatment and medical condition contributed to his death. Kelly was schizophrenic.
I absolutely wanted these guys on the stand. To have them up there and try and explain their actions in the video, what they did, the results, what their attorneys say they did. Tapped Kelly twice in the face with a taser, as all Cincinnati did, according to his attorney. We know the truth, and I wanted that truth brought out. But there's a lot of factors involved, and what I really want to say here is actions speak a lot louder than words. And by that I mean the actions of the city of Fullerton willing to pay for a total of almost $6 million. I don't care about their clause in it that says they're not admitting liability. That screams, we know we're liable.
Diagnosed with schizophrenia when he was 21 years old, Kelly had lived a semi-homeless lifestyle by choice, although he was always welcome to stay with his parents or grandparents. In the footage of Kelly's arrest, he is heard calling out repeatedly for his father's help, yelling, "Daddy, they're killing me."
We the people have the absolute right to know when a law enforcement officer from any agency has a citizen complaint filed on them, when they've been terminated and why, and any other adverse actions against these officers. We have that right. They're public servants. 4 states have changed their peace officer bill of rights or gotten rid of it, the last one being in Illinois. We have that right as people to know. Don't want to know anything about them. Don't care anything about them. We have the right to know if they've been terminated. If the termination letters were used in the criminal courts during the criminal proceedings, these guys would have went to prison, because it would have been read out loud that they were fired for cause for violating the use of force policies. They did not follow procedures, but instead they hid behind the peace officer bill of rights and got off.
Yeah, with Wednesday's news, we'll have all your sporting action in Trukai Sports coming up next. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The 2015 PNG Sports Expo will commence tomorrow at the Sejonggai's Indoor Complex and will run right through to Sunday. The 3-day event will see business houses, stakeholders and other partners showcase their products and services. Event organizer PNG Sports Foundation has encouraged the general public and interested corporate organizations and individuals to be a part of the expo. It's only day 1 of the preseason camp, but according to coach Michael Marum, the PNG Hunters have settled in well. With 33 boys already in camp, 3 more are expected to arrive by the end of the week, including former captain Israel Eliab. Eliab will be assisting coach Marum over the 4 weeks, prepping the boys for the season ahead before his departure.
Marum's focus in the first week of camp will be on introducing a unified culture to the playing group, which currently consists of 19 freshmen.
Except for 3 more players that will have to be in camp by tomorrow. So yeah, no, they're all settled in. First training session will be tomorrow. So yeah, all medicals, testings now. So.
The 19 youngsters who have been selected out of both the Intercity Cup and Under-19 Schoolboys Comp are looking forward to the opportunity to train, play and learn under the guidance of Marum and senior players in the likes of Wortovo Puara and Noel Zemming.
Name me BJ Walames, Miblo Sibiga again. Stop play on the Engamioks. So now me stop lo camp na mi maslo stop.
BJ Wanamis is one of the fresh talents who has been picked directly out of the Intercity Cup. The Angon Meax rap is looking forward to the opportunity of developing into the Hunters jersey.
Excited most them lo lugumol nubla Manuel sa play kumul namat mega staff on the me excited le staff on the experience samla something on the
Marum has said players like BJ will have to train hard and prove themselves over the next 4 weeks before a final decision is made on the team for next season.
We got a few players there, I think, but they're all young. We still have, and they play Diesel Cup and school boys, but a lot of them that probably might surprise spectators out there and the sponsors as well. So, but they're not excited about training for 4 weeks. We see how they turn up and approach training here.
While the exit of 4 renowned Hunters reps is set to have repercussions on the team next season, Marum has instilled faith and confidence in these young blokes and has promised some surprising performances. Jaylee Sapies, National EMTV Sports.
NRL-run League Belong Life program has shown progressive signs having an impact on the lives of participants. This was announced following an evaluation from the Centre for Sport and Social Impact at La Trobe University in Australia. John Wilson, manager for the NRL Pacific program, said League Belong Life is more than just a school program that can change the lives of participants for the better.
Following a review by a team from the La Trobe University to Papua New Guinea, the League Belong Life program received positive feedback that the program is effective. With Mark Mom leading the management of the NRL PNG team, the team has seen successful results, delivering key messages of education and respect to participants of the program. Research showed that being part of the League Belong Life program gives children the chance to engage with education and strengthen the important message of gender equality through their female staff. The program also creates a good platform for their staff to give back. From the feedback shown, not only children benefit from the program, but it extends to the staff and the broader community in general. League Belong Life is a three-way partnership between the Australian and Papua New Guinean government with the NRL. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. Coming up after the break, Port Moresby Aussie Rules Club Koboni celebrates 50 years. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To football now, and PKA Rapatona remains positive heading into its second round encounter against Hekari this weekend. Having scored 2 goals after trailing for the early part of the match against Irma Gulf FC in the opening match, Rapatona will be banking on their young midfield and experienced backline.
Rapatona had initially struggled to match the intensity of Irma Gulf in the Sunday match, which drew a small but vocal crowd. And while they had fallen behind after a Tau-Winnie strike on the half hour, they responded almost on the whistle in the second half through Patrick Isa. And then 17 minutes later through Peterson Elijah. Much of that particular match, Rapatona had focused on their left-sided attack, with Kielo Poru making an introduction on the right. Coach Max Foster has said that while improvements will obviously need to be made, he will not deviate too much away from their current style of play and remains confident in his young side.
We're working hard for it for the last 5 weeks or 4 weeks of friendly matches, and it came true. Yeah. The boys are still, we're working hard this weekend for this week of training for the game against Hikari, and nothing changes as Hikari is the champion team for the last 9 years. And we're looking forward to it.
PKA Rapatona remain the youngest side in the Southern Conference with a host of teenage players, especially their strikers up front in Peterson Elijah and Patrick Isa. But head coach Max Foster has stated that while Hekari remain a daunting task, his side is fully focused on the match at hand. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
To Aussie Rules now, and the Koboni Football Club is celebrating 50 years of its existence. Next week, Saturday, we'll see both former and current players come together to celebrate the club's rich heritage. Judah Memafu has this report.
In the wide world of sports here in Papua New Guinea, the name Koboni is synonymous with Australian football rules and is a name that a lot of people can easily recognize. This year marks 50 golden years of the Rules Club, and the word golden does not do justice to the accomplishments that Koboni Rules have achieved during this space of time.
Koboni Rules Football Club was founded in 1965, and obviously 2015 is our 50th year of existing. From the records that we've been able to gather so far, played in 28 finals, and out of those 28 they played in 24 grand finals. Out of those 24 grand finals they won 17 flags.
Koboni is the oldest surviving club of the Port Moresby Rules Comp and has many prominent citizens that have come through their ranks, a lot of whom can attest to the fact that the club's culture played a very vital role in their development to be where they are today.
There's a few people that have kept the club together, like I said, John Cully, Douglas Lai, Frank Kamini, who's chairman of our organising committee. They've been behind the scenes and have held the club together.
Without a doubt, the heritage of the Koboni Rules Club is both rich and very vast. And come next Saturday, a befitting golden celebration like no other. Jura Memafu, National EMTV Sports.
Sailing has been a dormant sport in PNG given the vastness of the coastal area and its custodians. And though sailing has been in the ancestral knowledge of our people, we rarely see tournaments happening. The Pacific Games have put sailing on the radar again with the contest of hobby cats and laser for men's and women's division. Now the Royal Papua Yacht Club is determined to bring the Coral Sea Sailing Course Tour to PNG. The sailing contest starts next year and runs from New Zealand to Sydney. And if things turn out well for PNG, the fleet of sailing boats could run through PNG and onto Indonesia for the final leg of the tour. The BSP PNG Barramundis were humbled by Afghanistan on the final day of the Intercontinental Cup, losing by 201 runs. Chasing 390 for an unlikely victory, they slumped to 8 for 162 in the 54th over. Star player of the match, Mahuru Dai, was very disappointed with the overall result as he became only the second PNG player to score a century in the I Cup. The BSP PNG Barramundis return home to Port Moresby tomorrow before they begin preparing for a home fixture against Ireland in late January. You're with National EMTV News. We'll have your weather for the next 24 hours on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. First of all, in the southern region, Port Moresby and Alotau mostly fine, and fine weather expected in Daru, Kerema and Popondetta. To the Momase region, Leh, you can expect some evening showers, mostly fine for Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Buka, mostly fine. A few showers expected in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabau, and brief showers expected in Kimber. And finally in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, cloudy weather. Goroka, Mendi, Wabeg and Kundiawa, mostly fine over the next 24 hours. And before we go, recapping our main headlines again. 40 million kina urgently needed for TB emergency response plan. PNG's next generation of LNG projects flagged at mining conference. And Pacific Marine Industrial Zone project launched with promises of fueling more growth. And that has been your news, sports and weather for today, Wednesday, November the 25th, 2015. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing on your number one. Good night.